Hey guys, it's Joy. Today I wanted to do a year in review type of video, just so I have something to go back and look and see what we did in 2015, 2016, 2017. I want to just have this kind of on record so I can remember and it's all in one spot. So I was going to go through and just kind of review some of the things that we did together collectively, and then I was going to go back and review each child individually, which I don't think there's too much that's individual. Most of it's, we do all together because that's the homeschool way and definitely the classical way. So we do classical conversations, and that includes a ton of stuff in and of itself. It includes art, it includes 6 weeks of art, it includes 6 weeks of tin whistle music theory, it includes 6 weeks of famous artists study, and it also includes 6 weeks of orchestra, and famous composers. So that is all included, not to mention, the history, science, Latin, timeline, and all of that I'm forgetting. And so it's all kind of included, and that's kind of our main curriculum, I would say, besides our math curriculum and our English curriculum. So that's kind of the main thing that we do each and every year. And then all of these extra things are just things that I like to do with the kiddos and things that I've added. And we did not do these each and every day. Most of the time it was like 2 to 3 days a week, because we have a 4-day school week, because we do classical conversations one of those days where we go and do our community day. So I'm just going to dive right into the things that we did together as a group, and then I'll go back to each of my kids. So the first thing we did was our Bible curriculum, and this is how we kind of started the day. And we did this twice a week. There's tons of different, we probably started this, I want to say in January, and we're just to lesson 4. We're like that far because it has lots of different days for each lesson. So this was really great. It says ages 6 to 14. 6, my 5-year-old, she would listen and color and stuff, but it's a lot of reading. I would even skip over parts of it because it is so much reading. However, that being said, so I would say I would stay away from it if you just have a 6-year-old. My 10-year-old could listen to all of it. My 7-year-old, and my 5-year-old, she would sit there and color if I gave her things to do. But I really wanted this for my 10-year-old especially. And it's called Who is God and Can I Really Know Him? And I know I've reviewed it before. It's by Apologia. We really like it. I love it that it brings up certain things that I might not think to talk about with my kiddos, because I just kind of assume, it's one of those things you kind of assume that maybe they know and you just forget to talk about it with them. So I've really enjoyed that this year. The second thing is, and I don't have the name of it, I'll link it down below, but as my kids were getting ready in the morning, we played multiplication songs, and the ones that we used went like this. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 5 is 10, 2 times 5 is 10. And then the next song, it would say 2 times 5 is, and then they would have to say then the number, the answer, the product, if you will. So that was really great, and all of my kids loved that. So my youngest was going around singing multiplication songs and, for the most part getting it right. Sometimes she'd just make it up. But I really thought that was a great way to kind of instill that in my 10-year-old, just to get those a little bit quicker, because it's just, he says 2 times 2 and he immediately thinks of the song. And it doesn't hurt to have my 7 and 5-year-old hearing those. So that was a really fun thing we did, and I hope to continue that next year as well. We don't do it anymore because we kind of tapered off throughout the year. Some of these things you can do every day and they like them, and then they just start to get tired of them, and so that's when I take them out and I think I'll just add that back in next year or whenever. The next thing that we did that we really enjoyed, if you have a more sensitive kid, I would, steer away from this, but we watched CNN 10. It's 10 minutes of news geared towards youth. And so we really liked it. I really liked it because it kept us up on current events, but it also really, again, when we were talking about worldview, it really gave us kind of, some things to talk about and to talk through. So I really liked watching CNN 10, and I would highly recommend it because it really does keep you up to date on, what's going on in the world. It did talk about, unrest in different countries and things like that. It never showed, anything too graphic, but again, if you have a sensitive child, I would probably steer away from that. The next thing is Spanish, and all of my kiddos took Spanish. They took 10 weeks in the fall and 10 weeks in the spring semester. And so they went to Spanish class and had a native speaker Spanish teacher. She was amazing. My kids all loved it, and they really, I think, benefited from that a huge amount. The next thing we did was we took lots and lots of field trips. I started listing them out and I was just like, there's just too many. We took lots of field trips. It was great. We went to the zoo and we went to a school choice rally, which was interesting. We went to the art museum. We fed some baby goats, and we're getting ready to actually hatch some chicks. We have another homeschool family in our area who lives on a farm, and they bring like an incubator and 2 or 3 little baby chicks and then 2 or 3 eggs, I forget. And then you get to watch them hatch, and then you also get to play with baby chicks. So we're really excited about that. It should be happening sometime probably within the next couple of weeks. But those have been really, really educational experiences for us. And the other thing we started and we did a few times throughout the year was poetry tea time. That has been really fun. I really hope to carry that through the summer because I think it will be something that my kids will just really enjoy, especially on a hot afternoon, just to sit inside or outside and have a treat and read some poetry. I think it'll be fun. They also had a babysitter while I went to a Bible study one morning, and it was a 16-year-old homeschool gal. She came over, she would do school with my boys, and I would take my daughter with me because she ended up, they had like a preschool class at church for her. And so I was able to go to Bible study one morning a week, and then the babysitter came over and she worked with my boys and they got their school done. It was fabulous. Like I've never had anything like that up until this point, and it was really great because she was able to explain like some of the math concepts to my son a little bit differently, and they just worked for her way better than they do for me. So they did a great job. They had fun. She got some of her schoolwork done. It was like a total win-win. I would say that was very successful in my opinion. And kind of the last thing we did all together is we read several great read alouds, and I didn't pull them all out for you to see, but we did several great read alouds. Going along those same lines is we really liked audiobooks, and so the Story of the World, we would pop that in and listen to it like on the way to our field trips and things like that. We really enjoyed that. So starting with each child, I'll start with my youngest first. So she's been 5 this whole school year. She's getting ready to turn 6. And she went to preschool for just the fall semester. And then she's gone all year to that 1 day a week preschool that I mentioned at my church, that preschool class. And it was from 9 to 11:30. And they did some really cute things, like super cute things. I was always like super impressed by what they did. So she had a lot of fun doing those kind of things. And thankfully preschool taught her how to write all of her numbers and her letters and things like that. So she came home to me really ready to jump right into anything that I had for her. So she's loved math. She will work on math Saturday, Sunday. It doesn't matter when. She will just work on math all the time. She loves it. She's really learning how to read her bigger numbers and, learn those teens that are kind of hard. And she's also really loved learning to read. I will say, if any of you have good advice for me, my oldest struggled reading, just like he just didn't really want to try, and he would just take his time reading the word and things like that. My middle son, he just kind of learned to read. I don't really know how that happened, but he just learned to read, and then on his own basically. And then my daughter wants to think she knows how to read but doesn't. So she'll just like pretend she knows what the words say, and it's not at all what they say. So she'll do great when we have our Learn to Read in 100 Easy Lessons book, but when I open another book and I say, look, you know these words, do you want to read this? She just totally guesses. So any advice on that would be appreciated, because she's just like, I know how to do it. And I'm like, no, you don't. The other thing I would say she is doing really well in this year is she has started gymnastics, and she absolutely loves it. It's the highlight of her week, and she has just gone gangbusters with it. She just is constantly doing gymnastics, much to her brother's dismay, and somewhat kicking them in the face, as she's doing cartwheels all over the house. But she really, really likes that. So moving on to my youngest son, who is 7. He's been 7 all year. He's about ready to turn 8. He got his first Bible this year, and he is so cute. He sits there at night and he'll just pull it out and start reading it. And he is just a great reader. So it's really wonderful to see him do that and to really enjoy that. He is playing baseball this summer. He's just getting ready to start for the first time playing baseball. He played basketball for the first time. He really enjoyed that, even though he never made a basket because he couldn't get the ball up high enough because he's such a short kid. But he really enjoyed that. He enjoys everything he tries, basically. So that's fun. My oldest, he had a really successful year with his writing. We did IEW, which is Institute for Excellence in Writing, through Classical Conversations. And we also, going along with that, we did EEL, which is Essentials for the English Language. And I discovered something through that I kind of knew before, but I just kind of thought, and I kept trying to push him to be more independent. Whereas I found this year, I always sat down with him and did his English, and he succeeded beyond my wildest imagination. He did great. And he kept his attitude positive the whole time. He wanted to write papers on his own, which he didn't always follow through with, but just that desire was there. And so I have understood that he needs help with focus. And so he really has a difficulty with sitting down and completing the task at hand. Not every day, but a lot of times. And it's getting better as he gets older. But just that reinforcement of how well he felt he did even at the end of that year with English was really great. And we applied the principle, and Andrew Pudwa, who wrote the IEW curriculum, has said this: it's easy plus 1. And you can say, oh, that's good and fine, but then not actually implement it. And I really just kept the letter on that. And he really enjoyed it and felt successful. So it's basically you give them, what is easy for them plus 1 hard thing. And so they feel very successful and they're stretched. And they kept telling me, they were like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. You keep helping him, and then pretty soon he will want to do it when he knows it. And I was like, what? Because I was always like, no, you need to encourage them to be independent. Basically, it works the opposite way. Maybe not for every kid and every time, but that's what we did. And I saw it work this year. I would sit down, I would help him with his outline. I would help him get started, and I would encourage him to write a couple of, lines or whatever, and then I would type it for him. I would do things, and by the end of the year he was like, well, I want to try and type it. Well, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, okay. It was great. So I'm trying to apply that principle to his math, and we did Saxon math. It's 5-4. We're actually due to finish it. There's appendixes and stuff at the back, but we're due to finish it by the end of this week, so we're really excited about that. And he really is. We struggled a little bit this year with his math, and we struggled with keeping our attitude up and not negative whenever I mentioned the word math. So that was kind of something that I haven't bought his Saxon curriculum for this coming year, because I'm still mulling that over in my head if I want to do Saxon, or if I want to try something else for a year or even just half a year and see if something with less problems would be better for him, maybe just something not quite as rigorous, or if I want to sit and do it with him. So those are kind of my thoughts out loud. I'm not sure. I don't know, and I don't know what would make him feel most successful. So anyways, that is kind of what my oldest son is doing. He is also starting his 5th year of baseball. He's already started practice, and he baked on his own this year, which was awesome. And he did Memory Master this year through CC, which is awesome, a huge accomplishment. And the last things I wanted to mention, is we did these daily learning notebooks. These are from Confessions of a Homeschooler. She is amazing. I really like these for all of my kiddos, because this one is for my youngest son, who's 7. And I would just put his daily schedule in there, and he is a super independent worker, like really independent. I give him a list like that and he just wants to tick it off, and so he'll work methodically and do that. So that was really great. I made this list myself of the numbers and how they are spelled, and then he could do this all himself because obviously he didn't know how to spell the number, date, all of them. So that was why I did that number list over here. And then he would just do all of this. We've fallen off the wagon in April. It was just time to be done. This is glob mapping. These were tally marks, by the way, for each month of the year. And then he would just do, we just stopped in April. But we really like that, and I feel like I'll probably do that for him maybe part of the year next year, just to get that calendar really in his mind. But he's doing a great job. For my oldest son, I didn't add the calendar. He gets it. He knows. But I did do some other different things with my older son, and she has all that on her website. So you can pick and choose and see what would be best for your kid. We also did coding for beginners. We really enjoyed this book. My youngest son actually did try and start it towards the end of the year, and we would just do this hit and miss. There were some weeks that I would have him do it like 3 times a week if he wanted to, especially. And there were other weeks that, he maybe did it like 3 times a month, so it wasn't something I really had in our curriculum that was like hard and fast. We do it this many times a day. Oh, and I forgot to mention that my middle son finished, or is going to finish, his Matthew C. Alpha and move into beta next year. And then we'll probably switch him over to Saxon in 3rd grade, because that's what I did with my oldest son, and that seemed to work really well. So that is kind of in a nutshell what we did over this year. And I feel like I wanted a representation of what we did, because there's so much of the time where I constantly feel like, oh, we don't get anything done during the day. And I know that's not true. And so I needed to make this video for myself to watch. So I know that we did a lot this year, and we should be very proud of ourselves for the successful year that we had. So I do want to encourage you guys to leave me comments below if you have any advice for the reading with my daughter or with my son for math, because I do feel like that is something that those are the 2 things in my mind that I'm mulling over and going to research a little bit more this summer and see where I land for next year. And they're going to both change over the summer. So, I know that there's that, and they're going to mature a little bit. So that's kind of exciting to me. But thank you guys for sticking with me to the end. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Our other favorite was audio, or, audio books, or audio, like things like